What's good, everyone? Jason Bennett, Pop Code HQ, back with another edition of Pants Optional. It's our Zoom interview segment where we chat with comic book creators, talk about their latest projects, and get the lowdown, but from the waist up. Today, I'm speaking with the writer Adam Rose, who has a new series called Corollary, coming out from Source Point Press, 4-issue miniseries, debuting on April 20th. Great day to go get comics, 420. So we're here. He's joining us right now. So welcome, Adam Rose, to the show. Adam, how you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, people have asked me about that release date, and I got to say it's a sheer coincidence, especially since this series is good for all ages for the most part. So it's
sure. Well, yeah, right. Yeah, I looked at some of the previews, and its build is all ages, but you are dealing with the concept of death.
Oh, sure.
And so that's through a theme running through it, that even though it's all ages, and looking at some of your illustrator Robert Amont's illustrations, I mean, it almost has a little bit of a fantasy aspect as well, because you've come up with some. I mean, it's been billed as sci-fi, but it's not so much like you're thinking Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, or something. It's just the weird, where you can really explore craziness with sentient planets and things like that. So how did the story come about, man? Because I mean, it's just like, I've always read from the first issue's synopsis, or in previews, and already it's like, man, this thing just looks like it's going to be bonkers.
No, thanks for saying that. Yeah, I mean, a few things you said there grabbed my attention. I do like one thing. Yes, it does have like a serious element. That yes, there's as far as, but kids, I think more now than ever, especially in the YA and all ages reading community, they are ready for sophisticated. They are ready. Like Hunger Games, like people are like, oh, that's risky because of what it deals with. But the kids eat that sort of thing up with a spoon. And they don't want us talking down to, but I mean, this comic's for people like our age and younger. And yeah, it's the idea just came actually from a conversation with my daughter when she was going to sleep, and she knew some kids that were twins, and she's like, if one of them gets tickled, the other one giggle. And then I just took that to a super extreme dark spot, and I just thought about a galaxy where most beings have a twin. And in that galaxy, the rules are, if your twin dies, you die. So I feel the potential even beyond this story, which is, it has a beginning, middle, and end, but it's such a giant sandbox of possibilities. I mean, I barely kind of scratched the surface on the idea of like, what if like you are a twin, but you're kind of a malicious twin, and you just keep your other twin locked up so that they can't risk themselves. Or there's like so many different ways to like kind of come at this. And obviously not all, just because there's a galaxy of twins doesn't mean all twins are like sticking together all the time. And that's not how life works. So you'll see individuals all the time, but not necessarily they're opposite. But yes, the risk is always there. Especially in a galaxy where it's kind of got a Wild West. And as you said, like it is a science fiction fantasy kind of meshing. I agree with you on that, because I have like anthropomorphic characters. Like, there's like pandas, laser toting pandas. There's sentient planets. There are dinosaur cities like that, like floating in space. There are celestial type beings arm wrestling using moons as their elbow rest.
Nice.
I just, Rob and I just got going on this in such a crazy way, and he went with everything I threw at him, and we just would go back and forth. And then like one other unusual add-on for this that Rob decided to go for doing is he hand watercolored the first 3 issues.
Okay.
The 4th issue, we switched to digital because he just, it was just the pacing was nuts for him. But yeah, he watercolored them after he like pencil and inked them. And that gives it this kind of otherworldly feeling beyond just like you were saying. Like, I think it adds to that kind of fantastical element. I feel like that choice and some of the hues he uses really do give it that, like, it's almost like Lord of the Rings in space, as opposed to like you said, it's not Battlestar Galactica. It's got a
Right.
lot more. If anything, I guess I mean my influences, and I only aspire to be of this ilk, but I'm just saying as far as influences go, like this would be like Saga, Guardians of the Galaxy, of course. I mean, those kinds of epic space operas are the vibe I was going for. And all it has to be grounded with the characters. And the main character, Cass, I mean, she's got a lot going on. She's got a lot of issues with her family, and she's trying to figure out how to kind of cash in on people wanting to know how she survived a twin death.
Oh, that is like, it's a jam packed with things. And it's also a 32-page full color comic. The first of 4 issues, like we mentioned, will be debuting in April. Yeah, just from my research, it seemed like the corollary galaxy that you kind of established, you really envisioned a much larger landscape with which to work. And it seems like just these 4 issues are just going to be a taste of what you really have. Ideally, I mean, if everything works out well and gets optioned again and type of thing, but I mean, do you have a much even bigger story plan beyond this?
I mean, I do, and without spoiling, like you'll see everything kind of come together in the 3rd and 4th issues with some, especially these other characters that come in. And the way it ends, I mean, yes, it has a satisfying ending, if you will. You don't feel like, oh, come on, what's next? It's like if anything, there's oh, come on, what's next? Like I want more. But and you'll see like where it does end. There's like, oh my gosh, I would love to see where this goes from here. So yeah, the potential is limitless, I would think, as far as the characters I've introduced and the ideas I would have for future stories.
I'm curious how you and Robert Amat originally connected for this. The look is just incredible. I mean, it's not even strong enough a word.
I really appreciate
it's beautiful. It's detailed. The watercolor is actually a really nice touch. It has some real nice ink work, and it plays off well there. But what was it about his illustrations that really spoke to your story, that saw that you guys were on that same path together?
Well, yeah, I met Rob is based in England. He's in the UK, and he was recommended to me by this other artist. Said you could reach out to Rob. He's pretty busy. I know at that point he was doing a series with Scout Comics, and I think he'd already done another one with Action Lab, and he's constantly working, countless works and anthologies in the UK as well. And I reached out, and he's like, well, it better tickle my fancy. It better be an idea that I want to dig into with you. And he loved the concept. We started actually with a 5-page kind of teaser and took it from there. And then, I already had the whole like 4-issue script mapped out. And I was like, let's grow this thing. Cause speaking of England, I did for a second there think, oh, well, you're busy. And, what if we just made this little 5-page teaser and sent it to 2000 AD? Because they have Future Shocks, which is like their little anthology of like 4-page sci-fi stories. So that's where it started. And then, I sent it in, and then we just grew it from there into this 4-issue epic. And, working with Rob was amazing in so many ways because he's such a pro, and he would send me back thumbnails. I would say, okay, well, you're just making me realize I need to like add this kind of little panel or beat here, or this close up there. And then, he was so great at the chemistry of working off each other, and his pace was spot on. And he got everything I threw at him. Like there was never like it was never like a missing connection between us. And because of the time difference, a lot of our conversations were mostly like just texting or email and whatever, but it worked out. And then when we got to the color process, and then bringing in DC Hopkins, who's our letterer, was amazing.
Class act. So many titles that his name's been on. Yeah. He knows his stuff.
He really does. And I gotta give it to him, because he was very generous with his time. Because even at that point, sometimes, you're familiar with like the Marvel method, like the way Stan and Steve Ditko did Spider-Man. Like like Stan would say to Steve, hey, here's the story for this issue. The Green Goblin and Spider-Man fight, and then Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker have a fight or a breakup. And yeah, so then Steve wrote the whole, or drew the 22 pages, and then Stan would go back in and fill in the balloons. Now, I didn't do that to Rob or DC, but I had it fully scripted, of course, but Rob would do certain things with his visual storytelling. And then I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. I want to change this dialogue here because the way that character is emoting visually is a little different. So I loved just the malleability of it all. And then even when DC would, I was like, oh yeah, it's done, DC. It's totally done. This issue's locked and loaded. Put it all in, and he would, and then I'd read through it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, hey, DC, I want to change something here. And he was so cool about it. I mean, I couldn't appreciate that more from a letterer because he's so busy. He's got a million different projects going on, and that just made it even better. And then, of course, the layer with Source Point Press. I mean, Josh and Cameron. I mean, they were just always giving like great notes on making it as amazing as I think it is.
And you know what's great? Let everyone know, because this will still be out when it's available, but it's currently in preview, so it's available for pre-order now. Yes. You got a nice 2-page spread. And that was really sharp. I know Source Point Press lately has been really built up some of their promotion, especially in previews catalogs. And yeah, great looking promotion there for you.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I was honored that they did that. I mean, it was a nice surprise from Josh to have it featured like that. And yeah, one of those covers was a cover for issue 1 that Rob did late in the game. We had a different cover that is now a variant for issue 1 that people are going to get to see. That's a little more abstract. It's kind of like a heavy on the watercolors and almost impressionistic, I would say. But yeah, so that just having Cass kind of in that barbarian looking stance, which also goes back to what you said at the beginning about how this isn't Battlestar. This, it's like Conan in space in some ways, in which I'll take all day long.
Right. No, it looks like you got a real great formula for a successful series, and your creative team sounds like, I mean, you guys are locked in and just really cohesive. So I mean, that's a great relationship for you to be able to have. Do you have any other promotionals lined up with its release? I know things are starting to open up for signings, appearances, conventions, maybe virtual. Is there anything like that coming up?
Yeah, well, actually, the Comic Bug in Santa Monica, they invited me to come over on 420, and I think Golden Apple's hopefully gonna have me in like a week after that, or that Saturday, and then hopefully, Comics vs. Toys in my home area of Eagle Rock. We're going to do like a Friday night like signing, and then into some stand-up at the store, because the store turns into like a stand-up comedy place. So yeah, those are going on.
Comics and comics, I like it.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, slowly getting the word out like that, and I think I have a few other press releases that are hopefully coming out soon.
Sure. Well, there you go. You definitely don't want to miss this. Perfect day to go pick it up. April 20th, 420. Go pick yourself up a book and just chill out and read. Watch something fantastical. Definitely be on the lookout for Corollary, the first issue in a 4-issue miniseries coming from Source Point Press by my guest Adam Rose, artist Robert Ahmad, and letterer DC Hopkins. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time, man. And we're excited to get this out and to share what you got going on. This is so fun.
Thank you for having me. I mean, I'd love to come on anytime. It means a lot just to have you, talk about my comic with me.
Hey, my pleasure. Anytime you want to connect, you can reach out and we'll put something together.
Awesome. Appreciate it.